Gichin Funakoshi believed that karate should be about developing the character of a practitioner, and not only about developing their martial prowess. He firmly believed that karate was much more than just a martial art. It was a way to develop spiritual growth through hard training. The 20 principles were created by Funakoshi with the intent of being a guide for the improvement of his students. It was to be referred throughout the lifetime of a student's training, helping to improve their martial and personal skills. Since the principles are terse in nature, they are often open to different interpretations. The principles described in the video are primarily based on the book written by Genwa Nakasone, a contemporary of Funakoshi, and written with his approval. Principle 1. Remember that Karate-do begins and ends with rei. The literal translation of rei is bow. People often mistake this to mean that one must bow to their opponent. However, this is a simplistic interpretation of this principle. Funakoshi believed karate should be used for improving a person's character. This means we need to take a deeper look at this principle. I believe Funakoshi intended this principle to convey the importance of respect in all things. As martial artists, we should respect ourselves and also be mindful that our actions are respectful to others. Through karate, we develop skills that can make us dangerous. Thus, this principle teaches us that through respect, we learn to be humble, learn to respect the techniques we have learned, and respect our fellow man. Principle 2. There is no first strike in karate. In Karate-do, My Way of Life, Gichin Funakoshi recounts an incident that happened on the island of Okinawa. One evening, while traveling with Master Itosu and several other students, Funakoshi and his party were ambushed by some men looking to pick a fight. Being trained martial artists, it would have been easy for them to defeat their opponents. However, Master Itosu sent Funakoshi to talk to the band of man. After some time, the situation was diffused without a single punch being thrown. As karateka, we are responsible for our every action. This principle does not teach us to be pacifists, but rather it teaches us to be mindful of our actions. Everything we do has a consequence. In any given situation, we need to assess what is happening and give the appropriate response. Just because we have martial skills does not mean every situation need result in confrontation. As the samurai used to say, a sword must never be recklessly drawn. Principle 3. Karate stands on the side of justice. Funakoshi intended karate to be more than learning martial skills. He intended karate to be character building, developing individuals who could take their place in society. This principle states that karateka should be law-abiding citizens. They should not be using their skills in a negative way. However, digging a little deeper into this principle suggests that we as karateka must use our skills to fight injustice when it is encountered. As Simon Wiesenthal, the renowned Nazi hunter, said, "For evil to flourish, it only requires good men to do nothing." Principle 4. First know yourself, then others. Lao Tzu wrote in the Tao Te Ching, "He who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is mighty." This principle echoes this and can be seen as a strategy on how to live. Many of us go through life not knowing who we truly are. We stumble from one situation to the next. In this principle, we are urged to look at and understand who we are, firstly as people, then as martial artists. What makes us happy, sad, or angry? Once we know this and can recognize the trigger points, we are more equipped to recognize this in others. In our karate training, it is very important to know our strengths and weaknesses. Through knowing ourselves, we are better able to know what techniques we perform well and also what techniques we are more susceptible to. More importantly, it helps us overcome overconfidence and conceit. By analyzing our techniques and knowing who we are, we become better at analyzing our opponents. Principle 5. Mentality over technique. In karate, while it is important to develop our technical skills to as high a level as possible, it is more important to develop a strong mind. In this principle, Funakoshi recognized that most karate practice is not about the techniques you know, but more about your state of mind and knowing when to use these techniques. As was stated in Principle 2, not every situation requires a physical response. Some self-defense experts like Mark Animal Macyoung have described something known as the monkey brain. This causes us to be reckless and overconfident. However, With good common sense, self-defense does not need us to get in a physical confrontation. Many times, trouble can be avoided by using our brains. Principle 6. The mind must be set free. This principle teaches us to guard against limiting beliefs. We must have an open mind and not be limited by self-doubt. When we place doubt in our minds, we hamper our progress. This principle tries to teach us about the possibilities that await us. We all have limitations. However, what makes karate such a wonderful art is the way the boundaries of our limitations are constantly being stretched. Anytime I learn a new kata, I find it a challenge. However, by keeping an open mind, I am not bogged down, and through constant practice, I begin to improve. Principle 7. Calamity springs from carelessness. The U.S. Marines and the British Army have a saying, "Proper planning and preparation prevents poor performance." This saying, in relation to Funakoshi's 7th principle, is teaching us that we need to be mindful of all things. In relation to our training, it teaches us that we always have to be careful when using our techniques. It is very easy to react in a rash manner when faced with a difficult situation. However, when related to Principle 2, we realize it's us who are in control of our every action, and through mindfulness we can diffuse many situations. We need to learn the importance of being aware or our environment, pub, school, etc., and always acting accordingly. Principle 8. Karate goes beyond the dojo. At its simplest level, this principle tells us karate practice should not be just limited to the dojo. We should be constantly honing our skills. I am a firm believer that the majority of our karate development should be done away from the dojo. The dojo is where we go to be corrected and refine our techniques under the guidance of our teachers. It is then up to us to go away and practice. At another level, this principle teaches us that skills we learn in karate are not just limited to the dojo. Previous principles have shown us that concepts like respect, mindfulness, and a sense of justice are equally important in our daily interactions with others. Principle 9. Karate is a lifelong pursuit. It is not uncommon to hear new karateka ask how long it will take to reach black belt. It is also common to see some students reach black belt level and then quit their training, believing they have reached the pinnacle of karate. The beauty of karate is that you never stop learning. Black belt is just the beginning of your training. All the training prior to achieving black belt has been getting you ready for the real training, which will last a lifetime. It is amazing how as you progress in your training, you gain new insights into techniques you have been performing for years. You will find that karate has many layers to it. Only after many years of practice do you begin to understand the deeper meaning of karate. Principle 10. Apply the way of karate to all things. Therein lies its beauty. This principle follows in the vein of earlier principles. It teaches us to use the concepts we learned during our training and apply them to other areas of our life. For example, if we approach our training with good spirit and seriousness, we foster a strength within ourselves that can be applied to difficult situations in our daily life. The discipline built in our training can help us face adversity. Principle 11. Karate is like boiling water. Without heat, it returns to its tepid state. In this principle, Funakoshi is telling us that if we do not continually practice, we run the risk of losing any gains we make through our training. There is no secret to improving our karate. If we want to improve, we cannot train intermittently. In karate, improvement comes through consistent repetition of techniques. In transferring this principle to other areas of our life, we can see the beauty of karate. If we want to be good at anything, we need to be fully committed. Principle 12. Do not think of winning. Think, rather, of not losing. We live in a society where we are obsessed with winning at all costs. Some karateka often mistake winning tournaments as being the sole aim of karate. When we only think of winning tournaments, it can dilute our overall karate training. The techniques practiced tend to be the ones that score highly. In this principle, Funakoshi is telling us that rather than being consumed with winning, which could make us act in a rash way, we should rather be confident in our training and concerned with performing our techniques correctly. By doing this, we stand a better chance of not being defeated. Principle 13. Make adjustments according to your opponent. In this practical principle, Funakoshi is teaching us that we need to be adaptable in how we face opponents or situations. It teaches us that we should have an open mind and be willing to make the necessary adjustments based on the opponent or situation. No two opponents are ever the same, as are no two confrontations. We must never be set in our ways. Our mindset should always be to do what is necessary. Principle 14. The outcome of a battle depends on how one handles emptiness and fullness, weakness and strength. This principle is closely related to Principle 4 in that it stresses the importance of knowing our strengths and weaknesses, and also that of your opponent. We have all seen skilled practitioners take an opponent's strength and make it into a weakness. This principle is also closely related to Principle 13. In the heat of battle, it is important to be adaptable. This can make the difference between winning and losing. Principle 15. Think of the opponent's hands and feet as swords. In this principle, Funakoshi quotes his teacher Yasutsune Azato, 1828-1906, who was a skilled swordsman. This is a practical principle, teaching us the importance of having a good defense. Against a skilled opponent, their hands and feet can be as dangerous as any weapon, as can our hands and feet. So as karateka, we must never take our opponents for granted. Also, we must also be aware of the potential damage we can inflict. Principle 16. When you step beyond your own gate, you face a million enemies. This is another principle that teaches us the importance of being mindful. In this principle, Funakoshi is teaching us that we don't always have to throw a kick or punch to win a battle. By being alert, we can avoid unnecessary situations. When we are young and full of strength, we tend to be reckless. We think, because of our training, we are invincible. However, it is at this time that we need to be at our most mindful. It is very easy to find ourselves in situations that are best avoided. At a deeper level, this principle teaches that by being human, we are constantly faced with challenges and obstacles. Having the mindset of knowing this, we can be better prepared to face our challenges. How we face these obstacles help define who we are. Principle 17, Kamae ready stance, is for beginners. Later, one stands in Shizentai, natural stance. It is important for beginners to understand the basics of karate. Just as a baby doesn't start walking straight after birth, so new karateka must learn the basics and principles of their chosen style. In essence, this principle is telling us that only after much practice and understanding does it become possible for the practitioner to appear relaxed, while at the same time being mentally prepared for any situation. Principle 18. Perform kata exactly. Actual combat is another matter. Kata are a great teaching tool for those willing to invest the time to learn from them. As a teaching tool, they also contain many facets that only reveal themselves after much study and practice. In this principle, we are being told that we need to learn the lessons kata contain. It is through kata practice that we are able to hone our skills. It is important to remember that kata are the distilled teachings of a master. The aim of the kata is to teach us the important principles behind that master's style. These principles are what we use in actual combat. Put another way, in combat, it is how we correctly utilize the techniques in kata that really matters. We may have to adapt our techniques. Principle 19. Do not forget the employment or withdrawal of power, the extension or contraction of the body, the swift or leisurely application of technique. This principle teaches us of the key elements required in our basic training, kihon, and also in our sparring, kumite. It is the development of these principles which are key for advancement in your training. As previously stated, kata provide a very important tool for learning key principles in karate. Among these principles are when to use the right amount of power for a technique, the degree of expansion or contraction of our bodies to correctly apply a technique, the appropriate speed used for a technique, how we breathe during our techniques. Principle 20. Be constantly mindful, diligent, and resourceful in your pursuit of the way. I believe that in this principle, Funakoshi is summarizing the previous 19 principles. He is telling us that in the practice of karate and in our daily life, we must constantly strive to be the best version of ourselves. We must constantly be aware of our surroundings, not blindly stumbling into dangerous situations. Above all, we must have an open mind and be adaptable. All of this can be developed through diligent practice of karate. In this video, we have offered our own interpretation of the guiding principles, largely based on our own experiences and training. The beauty of the guidelines is the potential of being different for each of us. However, the real importance of the principles is in getting us to think about our karate and in offering us a way to improve ourselves through our training. Thank you for watching Finding Karate's video on Gichin Funakoshi's 20 Guiding Principles of Karate. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel.